Hey, it's Waterproof Records time, and today I'm welcoming my guest virtually, Mark Hennessy of the band Paw. Also projects like King Rat and Godzillionaire, but I know Mark because of Paw. 1993 Dragline, that song Jessie, that was covered on my 90s Sunday Buried Treasures, so maybe you know Mark from that as well. Paw was started in 1990 in Lawrence, Kansas. Now after Dragline, the band released in 1995 Death to Traitors, and then in 2000 they put together Home is a Strange Place, and then disbanded pretty much. Now there's been some reunions over the years, but not many. But one of the main reasons I'm talking to Mark today is tonight in Kansas City at Record Bar, Mark is taking the stage performing the songs of Paw. Mark Hennessy and friends perform Paw. So if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, and you can get to Record Bar tonight, June 26th, I highly recommend you do. Now I can't promise that it's not sold out. The tickets might be all gone, but if you can, at least go stand around outside and maybe you can hear some of the songs of Paw, because that's absolutely what I would do. It's time to talk to Mark Hennessy of Paw. Let's go.
Things are gonna change, I can feel it.
If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna...
Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records with Jacob Gibbons.
All right, before we start the old video chat, it's time for me to tell you, of course, about DistroKid. DistroKid.com/VIP/waterproof, my link for you. You know the drill. If you don't know the drill, that's my link that gets you 30% off your first year of music that you upload to DistroKid. What's DistroKid? It's how your art, your music gets out to the world like that. So you should definitely go to DistroKid.com/VIP/waterproof, use it, and you get to save 30% off of what you pay to get your music on every streaming platform, including YouTube. So take advantage of it and do it now. All right, welcome to Waterproof Records, Mark Hennessy from Paw.
Thank you. Thank you for having me at Waterproof Records. Jacob, I'm pleased to be here.
Yeah, man. We just recently got connected. We rushed this puppy together because there's good reason. When this episode airs, there's something happening the same day. So I wanted to dive in and just tell the audience right away, especially if they have a chance out there. Kansas City, it's happening in Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, my buddy Steve Tulpana from the Season of Risk, etc. His bar, Record Bar.
Oh, hell yeah. I love Season of Risk.
Yeah. Steve's a great guy, and I'm lucky to still have him as a friend.
That's fantastic, man. So tell me about what's happening on Friday, June 26th.
And it feels weird to still be talking about these songs, right? So, Paw has, as a grunge band, since it's what I would say, since its demise or since our breakup, has attained some purchase, in terms of like grunge history, and these songs still have an audience. Paw, as Mark Hennessy and Friends, with Grant and Peter's blessing. Charles, I'm sure he would extend his blessings if he was on the ground and not jumping out of an airplane.
I read that about him, that he went on to become a professional skydiver. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think he's the fastest fall. I think he falls faster than anybody else.
Wow, what a record to hold.
Right. So I'm doing a Paw set. Not only am I doing a Paw set, but we asked. It has something to do with John Rockhold, who ran the Paw website. John Hill, a buddy of mine, a brother, and a fan who wanted to put together the band for a 30-year reunion.
Right.
I think in an attempt at doing that, he got a 35-year Mark and Friends do the songs of Paw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We asked the internet for the set list. We're doing songs that we've never done before, like Sweet Sally Brown. I've got friends coming up to play. Brody Buster's going to do the guitar solo from Naiad on harmonica. So Mark and Friends are going to do a Paw set in Kansas City tonight, the day this airs.
The day this airs. So if you're in Kansas City, you got to get out there and see a Paw set. And you started out by saying, seems weird to be talking about these songs after so long. But to your point, not on this show, dude. Like this show, these are your people. These are your people.
Hello, my people. I love you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw, but I totally did a video on the series of 90s buried treasures. I highlighted Jessie. And, there were so many people that reached out and just were like, oh, man, Pa, you have such a devout fan base and people who love this band and love, all the records. But Dragline, I mean, it landed just in that sweet spot of that 90s grunge, that sludge. You were a part of that whole momentum. And so it's really exciting to get a chance to connect with you. And especially, I know recently, 4 years ago, you got hit with quite the diagnosis, and that's probably changed your life in a big way. Would you mind just sharing with my audience a little bit about that?
I won't. And if you're going to invite me to share with your audience, I would invite your audience at their earliest opportunity. Colonoscopy, colon cancer, which is what I was diagnosed with, stage 4 colon cancer, is one of the number one killers in the Midwest right now. So I would the public service portion is go get checked because early detection matters. But I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer and given 2 years to live 3.5 years ago. So gratitude has fueled a large part of my appetite for destruction. We have that Paw show, and the next day my band Godzillionaire is playing in Wichita.
Yes.
I feel like as an artist, I still sound good when I sing. I still am involved in the work of being a lyricist and a singer. And so I claim by right of authorship the rights to do these songs. And now that I've invested myself in this performance, I've reconnected with juvenilia that I thought I was kind of over, and I wasn't. Yeah. I mean, that album is Dragline is grotesquely honest.
Yes.
Like a masturbatory fantasy about Veronica Lodge is not something that I just normally, I think I would share in immediate conversation, as a 20-year-old. Maybe I would.
Right.
Yeah. But so it's been a really cool process to reinvest myself into these songs to perform them well. Because I dismissed Paul kind of as juvenilia a little bit,
Sure.
And not that I sing a lot differently than I do then. I maybe a little bit better, maybe yell a little bit less. But I'm still invested in like you, I'm a lifer. Music is the thing that made sense to me, and music is the thing that I wanted to participate in.
Yeah, I love that, man. And that's a big part of, why I'm so happy we're talking, and exactly what embracing that time in your life, because I think it has less to do with nostalgia as much as it is to returning to a part of ourselves that we didn't know was still in there. The young, enthusiastic that take the world by the horns and just make it happen. And when life wears us down, we forget we have this exuberant joy inside of us. And so instead of people thinking it's always about looking in the past, that's not what it is. It's about refining who we were at one point and letting it shine again to the rest of the world. And I love that, man. Yeah, so,
well, and also there's a little bit of giving yourself permission too, because like we played with Radkey the other day, a band that I love. And I pogo dance around. And as a kid, I would take off my earrings and tape up my boots and get in the mosh pit. Yeah. So it was weird to be on the edge of a mosh pit and then pushed as a 57-year-old cancer survivor, pushed into the mosh pit and being like, I could care less. Let's get down, kids. And if somebody falls, I'll pick them up. And the people push me back up. And I was like, man, this doesn't... It feels good, I mean, it's still, it's still, like you say, it's connecting with something inside of ourselves and not the past, maybe. And it's weird too, because I bet you didn't, those shows for us, I don't know, for us and our people, we didn't put this thing in between us and this experience.
Right. Just like, this whole time.
The band,
Right. I know.
And I bet you don't do that now. I bet you don't go see a band now and watch them through your phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say go on with your point, but I want to jump on that.
My point is that we enjoyed. You said that sweet spot. We enjoyed the sweet spot where a band's life wasn't decided by social media. There were still albums being made. There were still we went to record at Madison, Wisconsin because we were in love with Tad's 8-Way Santa. We thought that was the coolest album ever.
Totally.
And there were still albums. There was still a scene. There were still those things that you can become nostalgic for that were part of our introduction to music. And live music, perhaps in particular.
Yeah. You know, whenever my audience, so because of what I do, I go see live bands, and I always try to position myself. Okay, I stand somewhere where I'm not blocking anybody, and I go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna roll a clip for 30 seconds, not blocking anybody's view. Then I'm putting it in my pocket. And I always have to tell my audience, I'm like, I promise you, I'm enjoying the show. I'm listening to songs. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what I'm experiencing. But
I think that's fair. I think,
yeah.
Yeah, well, and you know, I saw the documentary on Earth, Wind, and Fire, Questlove's documentary about them, and it kind of made me go back and start looking at live concert footage performances, because one of the things that they understood, and one of the things that I think, the ritual of it, you know what I mean? Do kids still do kids still give each other that? Today at the music show, the ritual, the coming together, the thing that you put the phone in your pocket to participate in. You know?
Yeah. I see. I'll tell you what, in my experience at some of these shows, one thing that's very cool is there's a lot of these bands from the 90s that are touring, and you're looking in the crowd and you're seeing teenagers. You know, it is awesome to see. And it's been a blend. Some of them, they're moshing, they're crowd surfing, they're in the moment. And then others, it's about 800 phones in front of your face. And so give or take, just reminding you kids, put down the phone every now and then and just watch the show.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to get messy.
Yeah. But, you know, amongst your fans of Paw and the community and everything, I want to kind of go back in time for my audience to, 1990. That's when the band forms, right?
That sounds right. 91. Right.
91. Yeah. And Dragline releases in 1993. And I mean, my introduction to you was definitely Jessie. And I'm sure you've answered this question for your audience a million times before, but was there a real Jessie?
Yes. One of the things that, in looking back at these old songs, one of the mistakes I didn't make was lie to people. I tried to, the little bit that I knew about writing suggested write about what you know, right?
Right.
Jessie was a German Shepherd and a beautiful dog, and my family's beautiful dog, and not allowed on the bus with me, and it did not go back home, and a Midwestern tragedy that I revisited at the writing of that song. My wife says, you're a poet, and that song is like has the least amount of words in it. It's like your most popular ones, pet dog.
It's so visceral and real, though. Like, I think that's why it connected, and everybody loves dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? And so you hear that song, you're rocking out, and then at the end, it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart. You're like, no, Jessie.
And do you got a dog?
I don't, unfortunately, but I grew up with dogs. And it's only because I live in California, wherever I rent, I can't have dogs, but I grew up with dogs.
Well, I remember when I sing the song, now, I will remember Jessie, you're a good dog. Shiva, you're a good dog. Moon Pie, you're a good dog. Honey Baby, you're a good dog. I'll remember my dogs or my band's dogs or people's dogs with them because that song is about mourning a dog. We don't laugh at that because we love dogs.
We love dogs, man. Yeah. Dude, John Wick was made because people love dogs.
That's right. Everybody gets that.
Not a person in the world hears the pitch for John Wick and doesn't go, his dog? Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amen.
So in the 90s, you guys got a chance to play a ton of shows, open and on the road with some, Rage and Tool and just some amazing artists out there. And then
Korn and Tesla.
Yeah, I know. What a diverse. And I think that diverse, two different bands that you play with. And I think it's because you guys really did something different at the time with the sludge and the metal and the grunge. You had a little bit of this, Southern touch to it. And so I think that's what really bridges you from Korn to Tesla, right?
Somebody called us Helmet in a barnyard, and I didn't hate, of course, Helmet's awesome.
Helmet's awesome. Helmet in a barnyard. That is great.
I didn't hate that comparison. Yeah. My strong point as a singer has never been my voice. But I had our engineer compared my voice to Ronnie Van Zant, who Leonard Skinner is an atypical Southern rock band.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the sense that they were a Southern rock band that called for gun control, just among other things.
Right.
And I have a little bit of I need to elocute my speech because I have a lazy drawl. And so there is I can understand the Southern flavor. And it's probably intentional, not that Kansas is Southern, but there's an American Gothic to Kansas.
Absolutely.
The rural areas that is kind of haunting and spooky and beautiful.
Absolutely. My friend, I'm born and raised Tulsa, Oklahoma. So buried back here is a y'all and a Southern drawl that if you get a few beers in me and it comes right out, man.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine worse times than that.
Exactly. So one of the things I love to get into on this show too is because I really love to highlight when my guest was a kid and they're discovering music and the bands are on the radio or your mom is playing something and you're hearing it and then all of a sudden you listen to something for the first time and you are totally changed. Your Waterproof record. So what was your Waterproof record that you chose?
Well, fellow Kansan, and dude to whom I first picked up a tennis racket, pretending it was a guitar.
Yes.
Joe Walsh, man, life's been good to me so far.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was the first time I was like, he's got a house, but he lives in hotel rooms and he's got a car he hasn't been to. He parties there and he's cool. I don't
That's
know.
Amazing.
I grew up with mythologizing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Why did Billie Holiday have a tragic life? How is that possible? Haven't you heard her sing? Haven't you heard her records? That woman
Seriously,
had a tragic life. So there's a magic before you realize that these people are people, and something clicks and you're like, that's a guy with a guitar.
It's a guy with a guitar.
Yeah. And I think my dad's got a guitar somewhere in the house. I would pick that up and see if I could write something.
Is that the album that really turned you on to playing guitar? You decided to get a guitar because of it?
Well, Joe Walsh and the Eagles were definitely a family. AOR, my family, Kansas City, AOR. I went to see Crystal Gale at the rodeo with my dad. So he listened to both kinds of music, country and Western. But I think the first records I bought for myself were Sex Pistols and Los Angeles by X. When I picked up a guitar for myself, it wasn't Eagles, or you know what I mean? That was something past me already.
Right.
When I listened to stuff, I had a big white X on the top of my car because of Big Black, not because of the Eagles. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the band, I still thought of album AOR as the radio as this holy grail thing. but I also
Yeah.
thought about the birthday party as my way in. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Nick Cave and the birthday party. Like I can thrash and scream, release the bats into a microphone while I'm kicking at like a reporter. That sounds
Yes.
like fun, you know. So I was Nick Cave until I became who I was because
Right.
I imitated. So the first, I don't know about the maybe Bruce Springsteen with Nebraska was the first time I wanted to pick up a guitar to hear a guitar sound come out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, was there a mention of, I thought Foreigner 4 was something too.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure, Foreigner 4, man.
Yeah.
And I hope the kids still do it. If you don't, y'all ask your girl out or your other, go dancing. Dancing with a girl to Waiting for a Girl Like You.
Oh, classic.
That smells like when you brushed your hair. That's like the best. Yeah. Foreigner 4 for sure. It was a Monday, a day
So
like
good.
any other day. I left a small town. burning ashes.
Jukebox Hero. Yeah. I mean, that album is full of Urgent. I remember all of those on the radio when I was a kid.
I think I held up the tape recorder to Urgent to play for more. You know.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, and Jukebox Hero was another great one too because it was somebody telling you he was just a kid, and then he got a beat up six string, and then that was like that was all he needed, and then he didn't stop until he was on stage, and playing for everybody and being a Jukebox Hero.
That's amazing.
I still get goosebumps. Have you and your listeners heard this? 50% of people, only 50% of people get goosebumps listening to good music.
I did not know that, but that is definitely information my audience should know because I bet you 100% of Waterproof Records listeners are getting goosebumps.
I bet you. Well, and I thought everybody did. So, but right. This is a question I've been inquiring, and I've had a couple. No, never.
I never knew that.
I didn't either. And now I think it should be a test for public office.
Hey, I can get behind that 100%. You play an amazing song, you look at them and you say, did you get goosebumps? And if they say yes, you're in.
Yeah. I do this with my friends because that means I'm just showing them. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, those are incredible choices, all very inspiring. And like you said, it bridges the gap between a kid and a rock star. These are people that made you feel like I could do it too. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of growing up listening to bands. When somebody says like, I'm going to get this guitar, I'm going to rock. And you go, I am too. I'm going to follow in your footsteps, especially those hometown heroes, like you said, people who come from where you do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then, obviously Pa goes through, you get in the band with the guys, a few lineup changes over the years. And then it's about around 2000, you guys release a final EP. And then that's around the time that it's over. And was it from frustrations from A&M and just not them giving you the marketing and the shit you guys deserved?
No. I wish I could say it was. It was personal. It was personal. Grant and I worked really well creatively together in some ways, and I think in some ways have fought to get to a place where we have a friendly relationship because the dynamic and taking four young men and putting them in a van, smelling each other's farts for a year, playing the same 50-minute set.
Yeah.
And that first year, we probably played. I feel like we played like 150 shows that first year. I knew that I stopped counting airline flights after like 33 on 1 year.
Right.
So. I think if we put out something now, I know that there'd still be people who would listen to it.
Yes.
And so Paul's had a couple of opportunities. Some 1%er calls up and says, "Hey, can I fly Paul in to do a gig?" Sure. I call Grant, call Pete. You guys, I got somebody saying they're going to drop this much for a set. You want in? And I've gotten polite no's. I guess Foo Fighters have brought Peter from a Squirrel Bait back kind of in the limelight or something, and Grant's playing with him now. And I heard Peter say that they might do some Paw songs, so it kind of made me feel like good, like we got, that's part of the cake that we carried around with us, and now we're sharing it with other people, and that feels something good about that. Yeah. But it wasn't due to A&M or management position. It was just we couldn't get along.
Yeah, it's a grueling time. It's a lot to put on a couple of young guys. 1 minute and then you're thrown on planes and buses and shows and, forced to be together all the time, like you said. So, but what makes me happy is it sounds like these guys are still guys you can give a call to. They gave their blessing to this upcoming show, and if they'd be there if they could. Yeah.
And I do think that's true, and that does mellow and deepen my gratitude.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. And I would assume, like you mentioned up top about the cancer diagnosis and what you've been through, I would imagine that whole experience of being given a timetable of what is left and then living well past it every day is probably felt with, you're living your best life today and that's it.
Yes. Yeah. You articulated it nicely. It has left me with the impression that everything is awesome. I'm lucky to be. I really, after singing for so long, and I'm not egotistical about my voice. I have opportunities now to talk. I'm talking to you because of music.
Yes.
I'm working with this dude on a film because of
music. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. You just recently wrapped on a documentary.
And you can see some of the director's work on the 4th of July with my band Godzillionaire providing some of the soundtrack for Amerigo is coming out on 4th of July. It's a documentary that the director that I'm working with, who's my friend.
Yeah.
This director introduced himself to my band by sending us a video for Absolute Zero, which is a Godzillionaire song, and it's beautiful. You can see it if you want to, and that's some of his work. And yeah, we did just wrap.
That's
on
great.
A documentary.
So cool though. This is great because it's every day you're able to give more and more of that creativity, more music back to people, and that's all we can do. These kinds of stories are inspiring for people.
Well, and I'm so glad I'm so much less of an asshole than I used to be. I'm such of a less of an asshole. And I don't, it's too bad. That Flannery O'Connor story where the line is something like, he would have been a decent enough person if there had been somebody standing there with a loaded gun at him, holding the loaded gun on him the whole time.
Yes.
I work well when trapped like a rat under constant supervision. There's something very joyful about still being what I get to participate in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's so great about getting a chance to sit down with you today is to not only talk about the legacy of Paw and, of course, shine a light on Godzillionaire and all of the things that you've created, but these moments that we have together to kind of exchange energy and leave an imprint on others and just what, you helped another person start their day, end their day better than it started. And I think that's so important, right? And so by making the documentary, by playing the shows, by putting yourself out there, you're letting people see Mark Hennessy in a real exuberance for life, a joy for life, and that's so important because I too was an asshole when I was a teenager. It's people, you know what I mean? About not every day, but about music. I was snobby, I would get shit on people for their taste.
We had taste. It's different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So I just was a snob about my music taste. But as I've gotten older, I don't know, man, let everybody love what they love, right? We get all the time.
Same. I've got no interest. I don't hate, and I don't want to be invited to hate.
Me either.
Say, come over here and look at this thing so you can hate it with me.
Yeah.
I don't hate on bands. I don't have time for that. What I got time for is to say that sounds good and thank you.
Absolutely. Well, so with the documentary, I would love for, make sure to keep me in the loop about where that's going so I can share with my audience when that comes out.
I'm going to get a mailing address from you because I'm going to send you a present. I got a little present for you.
Mark, that would be amazing. Yeah. I'd freaking love it, dude.
Yeah, I think you will love it.
I know I will.
Son, maybe not the time for balloon bubbles right now. Give me.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, before we get out of here, obviously, I want to give everybody a reminder that if you're around Kansas City and you can make it to the show tonight, please get out there. And then the next day, Wichita, Godzillionaire. Is it sold out already?
Not yet, but it might be.
It might be by this point. So if it's sold out, then you can stand outside and lean your ear against the wall.
Yeah, if you shout out Jacob sent me,
yes,
I'll plus one you.
Yes. I love it. Well, I wish I could be there, man, so much. So hopefully I can see some good videos of that someday.
We will be, I don't know if we're going to try to broadcast it live, but there will be a recording.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this has just been an awesome conversation to sit down and meet you, especially after knowing your music for so long and being a fan. And it's just great to see you and seems like you're doing great. And honestly, I just appreciate the time and for you to come on Waterproof Records. And it was cool talking about all these memories and past experiences with you.
It's been great. Have me back, Jacob. Success to you and your show.
Well, thank you, Mark Hennessy, Pa, Godzillionaire, singer, songwriter, rock and roll man. Keeping the dream alive.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I am so happy I was able to grab this time with him today because I know we were cutting it really close from that performance on June 26th. And now that you're listening to it, it's today, it's tonight. If you listen to this episode, it's happening. It's right now. Now, if you discover this episode long after that, I do still highly recommend you go check out Pa's music and any other projects that Mark Hennessy has been involved in. But it was so cool to connect and talk with him. And we got a chance to talk about those feelings that we have with those bands that we love when we're kids that inspire us to play guitar and rock and just really speak into our lives. And I forgot to talk to him about his book of poetry that he released in 2005 called Cue the Bedlam. So if you'd like to go check out some of Mark's poetry, there is a book that you can look at as well. I so wish I could be in Kansas City right now listening to this show tonight, but I know it's going to go great. And it was such an honor to sit down and have that conversation with Mark. So once again, I want to thank him for joining me and thank you for listening and supporting the show. I can't do it without you. So make sure you're telling your friends, share it, like, subscribe, all those things, those buttons and clicks and comments that you're supposed to do to help keep a show going. I need that from you always. The only way I survive is with you. So please help spread the word, comment, share, let everybody know about Waterproof Records podcast because I am on Pantheon Podcasts. So shouting them out, of course, the massive network of podcasts. Thank you, Pantheon, for letting me be part of the family. Pantheon Podcast has pretty much every band, every music, every style represented on podcasts. You should definitely check out some of the other shows that they have, including mine on Pantheon Podcasts. And of course, I'm going to tell you once again, make sure you're taking advantage of distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof to save your 30%. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.
Things are gonna change. I can feel it.
If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna